Welcome to Moment to Pause. I'm Faye and I'm really grateful you're here today. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you've been here before, thank you for coming back. Before we begin, as always, let's arrive together. Take a slow breath in and gently breathe out. Maybe 2 more of these. Breathe in slowly and gentle breathe out. And every time in each exhale, let the shoulders soften. Let the belly relax. Allow the body to settle into this moment. Beautiful. In this chakra series, we've been slowly traveling through the energy centers of the body. We began with the root chakra, the place of safety and grounding. Then we move into sacral chakra, the space of feeling, creativity, and emotional flow. Today, we move upward again into Solar Plexus Chakra or Manipura. If the root chakra says, I am safe, and the sacral chakra says, I feel, the solar plexus says, I act. And of course, in order to act, we first need to feel safe. This is why these energy centers build on one another. The solar plexus chakra lives in the upper abdomen, around the navel area. It is often described as the center of personal power, confidence, and self-trust. Its element is fire, and like fire, this energy can warm us, energize us, and illuminate our path. But fire also needs direction. When the solar plexus chakra is balanced, we often feel a quiet confidence within ourselves. Not arrogance, no need to prove anything to anyone, but a steady sense of self and a steady sense of being. We trust our decisions. We can say yes when something feels right, and we can say no when something doesn't. There is clarity. We know who we are, and we feel capable of taking action in the world. When the solar plexus chakra is in balance, on the other hand, that inner fire can behave differently. Sometimes the fire becomes too small. We may experience self-doubt, hesitation. We become people pleaser or fear of being ourselves. Other times the fire burns too intensely. We may become controlling, perfectionist, overly driven, or harsh with ourselves and others. In the book of This Is That, yoga teacher Ananda Mehrotra speaks about how the ego can swing between these two extremes. Sometimes it inflates itself through arrogance. Other times it collapses into self-doubt. Both are distortions of the same energy. True personal power sits somewhere in the middle, steady, grounded, and quiet. Confidence is not loud, and real personal power rarely needs to announce itself. There is a proverb in my language, in Farsi, that I really love. It says, "The tree that bears the most fruit bows the lowest. The meaning is simple but powerful. The more wisdom, knowledge, or success someone has, the more humble they become. True strength does not need to prove itself. In yoga philosophy, the first of the yamas is ahimsa, which means nonviolence. And this teaching is not only about how we treat others, but also it invites us to notice how we treat ourselves. When the solar plexus chakra is out of balance, we can become quite harsh internally, pushing ourselves too hard, demanding perfection, judging every decision we make. Ahimsa reminds us that real strength does not require violence, not toward others and not toward ourselves. Fire, after all, it's not meant to be extinguished. It is meant to be tended. Learning how to tend our inner fire is part of the work of this chakra. Fire is a fascinating element. A small flame can cook food, warm a home, and bring people together. But if fire is neglected, it simply fades. And if it grows too strong without care, it can burn everything around it. Our inner fire is not so different. If we suppress it far too long, if we doubt ourselves constantly, hide our voice, or avoid taking action, the flame can become very small. We lose confidence. We lose motivations. We begin to question our own worth. But when the fire grows too strong without awareness or compassion, it can become overwhelming. We may push ourselves too hard or demand perfection from ourselves. The practice of the solar plexus chakra is learning how to tend the flame. Not to extinguish it, not to let it burn widely, but to care for it with attention, patience, and wisdom, so that it gives warmth and light, both to ourselves and the people around us. And sometimes transformation is not always gentle. Sometimes life asks us to face things we may have avoided for years. In the yogic tradition, the kind of fierce transformation is often symbolized by the goddess Kali. Kali represents the force that removes illusion so that truth can appear. In many yogic traditions, Kali is connected with the fire of transformation, which resonates strongly with the energy of the solar plexus chakra. Manipura is center of personal power, will, and transformation. But before authentic power appears, something important often happens. The false identity must burn away. This is Kali's work. In yogic philosophy, much of our suffering comes from ahamkara, the ego identity. The ego says, I am my success, I am my reputation, I am what others think of me. I must control everything. Kali cuts through these illusions. Symbolically, it represents cutting through the ego mind, removing the false identity we cling to. In deeper yogic symbolism, Kali removes attachment, fear, and the identities that no longer serves us. What yoga calls Atman can appear. For many spiritual practitioners, Kali represents the force that clears away what is not true. She reminds us that sometimes distractions is part of the creation, and what feels like loss in one moment can later reveal itself as liberation. This theme of personal power and transformation has shown up very strongly in my own life. There was a time when I followed a path that felt expected: a stable career, structured direction. And while there is absolutely nothing wrong with stability, something inside me kept whispering that there was more. More creativity, more freedom, more expression. I was longing to be myself, but at the same time, I felt pressure to fit in. I was scared to show who I really was. I often felt like I wasn't good enough, like I needed to be more successful, more capable, more acceptable. And slowly, without realizing it, I became a people pleaser, trying to keep everyone happy, trying to belong. And after a while, I realized something really painful. I had slowly forgotten who I really was, what I really liked to do. But over time, I began to see something important. The problem was never who I was. The problem was the story my mind, my ego kept repeating. Living that path in my life wasn't one dramatic moment. As you've probably heard me saying before so many times, change really happens overnight. It was many small moments of listening, changing direction, letting go of certain expectations, even losing some friendship along the way, listening to a quiet inner voice that kept asking, maybe there is another way. Choosing to explore art, choosing to explore myself, choosing to express myself as an artist, choosing to teach yoga, choosing to have this moment to pause podcast, and eventually choosing to open my own space and build a community around movement, creativity, and pause. Each step required a little more trust that I could follow what felt meaningful, even when the outcome was uncertain. This reminds me of a teaching from a Bhagavad Gita, one of the ancient texts of yoga philosophy. One of its central messages is about taking action without attachment to the result. Doing what feels aligned simply because it is the right action, not because we can guarantee the outcome. Now, looking back, I realize many of the steps that shaped my life were taken exactly this way. Not with complete certainty, but with enough courage to take the next step. And it always been said that you only need 10 seconds of courage to begin something new. A small decision, a quiet moment of bravery, a willingness to stand by what feels true. That is the work of a solar plexus chakra. I also see the beginning of this energy in children. There is a moment in childhood when a child begins to say, I can do it myself, or sometimes a very strong no. They want to try. They want independence. They want to explore the world through their own actions. That spark is the awakening of personal power. And like any fire, it needs guidance, encouragement without pressure, supporting without control. And honest with you, sometimes I catch myself putting pressure on my little girl to do something she isn't comfortable with, simply because from my perspective, it feels like the right thing to do. Parenting can be like that. A child's curiosity can feel unpredictable, even risky. And for us as a parent, that can feel a little scary. Our instinct is often to step in quickly and protect. And sometimes protection is necessary. But confidence also grows through exploration. Perhaps our role is not to control that inner spark, but to hold space for its safety. Because the way we respond to the child's early sense of independence can shape how they learn to trust themselves in the future. And in many ways, adulthood becomes a journey of rediscovering that same confidence within ourselves. In yoga practice, the solar plexus chakra is often supported through movement that build warmth and strength in the body. Postures that engage the core, like plank, boat pose, warrior poses, twists that activate the abdomen. These practices are not about pushing aggressively, they are about building resilience physically and emotionally. Breathing practices like Kapalbhati, sometimes called the breath of fire, can also stimulate this energy center. They awaken the body, clear the mind, and create warmth from within. And if you're curious to explore this through movement alongside this podcast episode, I've also created a solar plexus yoga flow on my YouTube channel. It focuses on core strengths, gentle heat, and cultivating that sense of inner steadiness. You can practice it whenever you feel like reconnecting to your inner fire. All the links will be in the show notes. And if you are listening from Melbourne, especially around Ivanhoe, Fairfield, Alphington, or Ivanhoe East, I also teach regular classes through the Post Club in Ivanhoe. It's a space where we explore these ideas together through movement, breath, and community. And now that I'm sharing again, I'd like to bring the retreat that I'm going to have in Vietnam from June 4 to June 8. It's just a few days dedicated to yoga, reflection, creativity, and deep rest. And if you want to explore more, we have Zumbas, we have coaches for fitness, and you can just explore and have a journey inward. Before we close, I'd like to leave you with a gentle question. Where in your life are you being invited to step into your power? Not forcefully, not dramatically, but simply by trusting yourself a little more. Fire does not need to shout. Sometimes it simply glows. And that quiet glow can be enough to light the path ahead. Thank you for being here. And until next time, move gently, breathe deeply, and trust the quiet fire within you. Namaste.